welcome to the first edition of the Playmakers podcast. My name is Todd Gyron, and with me is my co-host, Mike Batista. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Todd?
Fantastic. Looking forward to getting this kicked off. Hopefully get some great conversation going and get some great involvement from our followers on Facebook and Twitter. So looking forward to it. So today we're going to talk about NBA All-Star snubs, our biggest first half surprises and disappointments from around the association. And then, of course, we got to finish up with some Super Bowl talk to get things ready for the big game next week. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right. So, like I said, first thing we'll start with is All-Star snubs. From the Eastern Conference, who do you got, Mike?
I got Joel Embiid. I cannot believe he didn't make it. He's putting up some crazy stats. Over 20 points a game, 8 rebounds. And he's on a minutes restriction. He's putting up better numbers than Paul Millsap, who made the All-Star team as a reserve. I don't understand it.
Nah, man, I'm right there with you. Honestly, for me, the biggest one is Embiid. Honestly, I was really kind of hoping he'd get voted into the starting lineup. I mean, could you imagine trotting out a front line of LeBron, the Greek Freak, and Joel Embiid?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Whew. Boy, those guys got athleticism for days and plenty of skill, the ability to move the ball. But yeah, like you said with Embiid, he's putting up 20 points, 8 boards, and a minute restriction, 2.5 blocks a game on that same minute restriction. I mean, he's finally living up to the hype. It's really nice to see. It looks like what I was going to say is it really looks like the process is paying off, and it's actually fun to watch Sixers basketball again.
Oh yeah. And the crowd loves it. You can see he gets the fans involved in the games and everything. The city loves to have somebody like that there.
Yeah, that's the thing about Philly, man. If you've got talent, you're engaged, they'll stand behind you and they'll love you every step of the way. If you're dogging it, you're half-assing it, you're not showing emotion, they're going to turn on you quick. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, for a guy his size to have the footwork he does, the range, I mean, I knew he was. I had an inkling that he was a talented guy, but to see him out there popping 3-pointers, that surprised me.
Yeah, he draws the double team. He catches the ball behind the 3-point line and immediately draws a double. I mean, how many bigs can you name that have done that in their careers? And it's his first year in playing.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna touch on him, I think, a little bit later in our surprise. At least I know I am. But yeah, he's definitely impressed me so far. So. I think you kind of hinted that you'd swap out him for Paul Millsap. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Millsap's putting up similar numbers, but playing way more minutes a game. And let's just face it, the dude's game is not entertaining.
No.
I mean, after all, that's what the All-Star Game's for, right? I mean...
Exactly.
You want to entertain the fans, and, I mean, Joel Embiid has a huge Twitter presence. He gets, like you said, he gets the fans involved, gets the folks hyped. So it's a shame he's not going to be able to enjoy that All-Star weekend. At least he'll be there for the rookie-sophomore game, though, so we'll get to look forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be a good game.
Yes, sir. So in the Western Conference, who do you got there? I think I have a pretty good idea who you're going to say, but let me know what you got.
I'm going Dame. I don't know how he got snubbed yet again. It's like the NBA hates this man.
Right? Like, he can't win. There's too many damn good guards in the West.
To let Clay in over him when he's averaging better stats than him all around. More points, more rebounds, more assists. He's a shot creator. It's just, like you said about Embiid, it's all about entertainment, and better stats and more entertainment, I think, from Dame than Clay.
Yeah, I mean, Clay's a solid player, but Dame just has that kind of star factor about him, He's must-see TV. Whereas, I respect Clay's game. He's a phenomenal shooter, really solid defender. But yeah, just something about watching Dame with the ball, man. He's an assassin for sure.
Yeah, and he can jump out of the gym.
Yeah, he's definitely got good hops. That's another guy too. Coming out of college, there was all the hype around him. I'm thinking, this guy might be a good pro. I honestly didn't think he was going to be leading a franchise like this.
Oh, definitely not, but he did.
Yeah, him and McCollum got something going on there. So hopefully they can, maybe get that one more piece to make the jump to elite contender.
Yeah, I think they're just missing a big.
Yeah, I don't know about signing Alan Krabby to that huge contract in the offseason, but
Yeah.
I personally I would have spent that money on somebody else. But hey, I don't have billions of dollars to run a team, so not my call. All right, so I'm gonna honestly, I mean, Lillard is a logical pick to go for a snub. I'm gonna make just another argument just to kind of for argument's sake. And I'm going to go with the Stifle Tower, Gobert. He's putting up almost 13 points a game, 12.5 boards, 2.6 blocks a game. As I said, he has that phenomenal nickname. I mean, the Stifle Tower. It's kind of hard to beat that. I just think seeing him out there running the floor in the All-Star game, catching lobs from all those talented, wing players, it'd be a sight to behold. And honestly, we might see some defense for once in the All-Star game.
Yeah, bring something new to it.
Yeah. So if I was going to swap him out, I'd probably take out, probably DJ, just because they have, it's a pretty similar style to play. Although, I don't know, I might take out Draymond. I mean, I think after so many nut shots, maybe you should be disqualified from the All-Star game for a year or something. I mean, But, no, in all seriousness, I'd probably say swap out DeAndre, just because their games are pretty similar. They're both defenders who are long, athletic, agile. I just think a guy like Gobert, deserves to be in the All-Star game, at least as a reserve.
Yeah, he'll get a shot. He's a young guy.
Yeah, so hopefully the Jazz can kind of keep things up here in the future, and I think I've got a few things to say about them here in a bit myself. So with that, we're going to transition over into who our biggest first half surprises and disappointments are from each conference in the NBA. You want to start off with the East or the West?
Oh, we can switch it up. This time start with the West.
Go with the West? All right, so who's really opened your eyes? Who was a big surprise for you this year?
Houston. I thought they were going to be, like a 6th seed, maybe a 5th seed. But for them to be a 3rd seed and behind only Golden State and the Spurs, with only one natural star with Harden. And I mean, they don't have a big with Capella. He's young. He's undersized. And then they have an old Nene and a streaky Ryan Anderson. But Harden's just managed to put up amazing numbers with a subpar team.
Yeah, the thing that's been amazing to see this season for me with Harden is his ability to get his guys the ball exactly where they want it. It's like the pass is on target, on the money, almost every single time. It's been phenomenal. If you would have told me that D'Antoni was going to come in and they'd be like the 7 seconds or less Suns on steroids, I would have said, I don't know. I don't know if they got the personnel for that, but
yeah, he changed that offense around, and it's something different. That's insane. The numbers that Harden puts up just with the change of coaching.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. I mean, he's just a couple of days ago, he became the first person in NBA history to put up 2 triple-doubles, scoring at least 50 points in the same season.
Yeah, that's insane, especially when you have a guy like Russell Westbrook going out there and putting up triple-doubles.
Putting up triple-doubles at will, seemingly.
Yeah, averaging one.
But, yeah, so... And then a big thing for them, too, you had hinted out some of the guys who were giving them kind of unexpected production, like Capella and Nene's found a bit of a renewed resurgence there. But for me, Eric Gordon actually, like, staying healthy and being consistent has been a big boost for them.
Oh, yeah, he's finally living up to the hype of when he came into the league. Everyone wanted him. They thought he was going to be really good. And like I said, with Harden, I think it's just a change of offense, a change of coaching, and just giving him the green light to do what he wants. And he's not really playing under stars. When he was in New Orleans, he was playing under Davis, and they had Holiday when he's healthy, Evans when he was healthy. He just never really seemed like he would be a first option, and now he's a second option, and he's flourishing.
Yeah, definitely. It's really good to see. He was a guy coming out of college that I liked his game. It's kind of quiet, unassuming, but he just goes out, at least in college, he just went out and got buckets. And to see him transition that over to the league, I think has been a really nice thing to see him finally actually seemingly fulfill his potential. So hopefully he can stay healthy the rest of the year, and I think they can make some noise. So
Oh yeah, hopefully they make a move before the trade deadline.
Yeah, maybe add a little bit more depth on the wing, or perhaps maybe another big guy. Because like you said, Capello's solid, but he is pretty young.
And he's undersized.
Yeah, he's 6'10" at center. I mean, that's just, I know we're not in the 90s where you got the, every team seemingly has a 7-footer, but he's 6'10", he's a little thinner.
Right.
So, yeah, somebody to back him up, I think, would be a nice add for them. They got a pretty smart GM in Daryl Morey, so hopefully for their sake they can pull the trigger on something to kind of just, make that little tweak and hopefully not throw off their chemistry.
Yeah.
All right, so for myself, for the biggest surprise, I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz. And I know I kind of talked about Gobert a bit earlier, but this season, George Hill and Gordon Hayward have played together in a combined 19 games. If I had to ask you how many wins do you think they have in those 19 games, what would you say, Mike?
11 or 12?
They are 15-4 in games that George Hill and Gordon Hayward have both played together.
Wow.
That's a 79 win percentage. I know it's only 19 games, a small sample size, but for the season, how many teams do you think have better than a 79% win percentage?
Yeah, exactly.
Only one. It's just the Warriors. So now, obviously, they got to both stay healthy and kind of keep that going. But I thought they'd be a solid team. They're sitting at 5th in the West right now. If they can keep this great play up with their two kind of big guys healthy and moving down the stretch, I think they can kind of maybe move into that 4th slot, get home court away from the Clippers.
Yeah, especially with CP3 being down.
Yeah. I mean, with CP3 being down, the Clippers are a bit of a mess right now. They might be able to catch some ground. It's, like I said, mainly staying healthy for both those guys. And for me, you got a guy like Gordon Hayward who can be that late game guy who can shine in the big moment. He's shown before, I mean, it's probably no secret that I'm a pretty big Cavs fan. And, he's he's went toe-to-toe with LeBron, in closing moments of some of the games the past couple of years, and he certainly doesn't shy away, he doesn't back down. I mean, I think that might have something to do with the fact that he stayed in college. I think it was either 3 or 4 years, I can't remember offhand, but he had a lot of experience, played under a great coach in Brad Stevens, and he just seems to have that knack for the moment,
Yeah, he's a great player all around. Very underrated. You don't really hear much about him, but he always goes out there and puts up really good numbers when he's healthy.
Yeah, he doesn't get his shine for whatever reason. Maybe it's the small market, being in Utah.
Yeah, that's all I could think of.
Yeah. And, I mean, if I had to give an honorable mention, obviously, I definitely agree with your pick, the Rockets. Those, I wouldn't have picked them to make that kind of turnaround because last year, let's face it, they looked abysmal.
Yeah, they were lost out there playing.
But other than that, I mean, I might give OKC a little bit of nod because I knew Westbrook was going to play out of his mind. But if you would have told me that they'd be sitting fairly comfortably in the playoffs at number 6, I would have been surprised.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be tough for them to keep that now, especially with Katner going down for 5 weeks with the broken arm.
What an idiot! 6 to 8 weeks with a broken forearm. What a moron!
Punch in the chair.
I mentioned the other day to you guys. I said, Russell Westbrook is going to probably kill Enes Kanter now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the second leading scorer on the team, maybe behind Oladipo. He might be third, but he's coming off the bench and gives you the spark. He gets you a lot of boards, puts up a lot of points.
Yeah, he gives you a good presence inside when Adams has to sit, Yeah,
you have two bigs they split the minutes and they bring you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, they're both agile, mobile. They're not like a lot of bigs in the game today, and they don't really have that outside shot. But that's what you got, guys like you said. Like Oladipo, Westbrook. What's the young kid? Son of a gun. Cameron Payne.
Yeah.
You got guards out there to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. So if we went to disappointments in the West, who do you got?
I got the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So much talent, and they just can't seem to get the team to click. And it's surprising, especially under such a good coach with Tibbs. Would have never guessed, especially with their defense being so lackadaisical under such a defensive-minded coach.
Yeah, that's it for me too, man. It's the T-Wolves. I really thought after the season that Cat had last year, you got Wiggins another year to mature, Levine another year to mature, and you're bringing in a guy like Tibbs, who's experienced, who's like you said, hard nosed, defensive minded. He could kind of because they had they got the offensive side of the game seemingly down, but they had trouble stopping people. And you're thinking, oh, Tibbs is coming in. They're going to be able to lock down, learn how to like actually fight and play as a team, but it just hasn't been there. I don't know any thoughts on what it is?
I don't know, because up until I think it was 2 days ago, Levine's season average dropped under 20. All three of them were putting up over 20 points a game. Cat's putting up over 10 boards a game. Wiggins is playing out of his mind. I don't know. I think it's just a lack of defense, and they just can't seem to close out games. They'll be so close and then end up losing by just a couple points. It's like they don't have a real natural closer. It's like none of the three could really assume that role, and none of them know who to go to in those moments.
Yeah, that's it, man. For me, I think what they're missing is that veteran, presence, that stability at the end of the game. Because I think even a guy like Levine or Wiggins might be able to do that for you at the end of the game, but I just don't think they know how to do it in the league. And I think a guy who's been there before, maybe not necessarily, a champion guy, but just a guy who's been in the league for a while, who understands the difference between winning a close game versus losing a close game, I think would be a huge get for them.
Yeah, that would definitely help them a lot.
Yeah, especially if they get, an experienced point guard. If Rondo wasn't such a head case, I might say him, but that's the last thing they need.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that here in a minute.
All right, I think I know which way you're going with that. So we'll shift over to the Eastern Conference. Who's been your biggest surprise?
76ers. The way that those young guys have just all found a way to get it to work. And then all around Embiid carrying them, again, on the minutes restriction like we talked about a little bit ago. Just insane numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got Embiid playing well. They don't even have Simmons yet, and they're what, I think they're 4 back in the loss column for the 8th spot.
Yeah, they're not, and I mean, the East is so close, it's a toss-up for the 8th spot. They're not far out of the playoffs, and I think Simmons is coming back after All-Star break. There's been rumors. If he comes back, they could definitely make a push for the playoffs and surprise everybody. And then on top of that...
Yeah, that's the word, yeah.
They get... If the Lakers don't have a top 3 pick, they get the Lakers pick. They get Sacramento's pick if it's not top 10. They're building out of the draft, and it's finally starting to pay off for them.
Yeah, definitely. You've got, the young foundation they've got. You've got guys like Covington and Saric really stepping up and kind of making a leap that I don't think a lot of people expected those guys to make, especially Covington.
Oh, no, yeah, that was a complete surprise, I think, to everybody.
Yeah, but he's done well. I mean, he's by no means is he an all-star, but I think he's doing more than most people thought he would do this year. So I guess my question for you with them is, do they make a push to try and make the playoffs? Or
I think so. I think with Simmons coming back after the All-Star break, and they have good trade pieces. Let's face it, they shaded away from Okafor. They are not using him. They're saving him for a trade. He does not play.
Yeah.
If they can make a push and get a natural guard to help that team out for Okafor, and then with Simmons coming back, and they've already said they're going to have him playing the point. So you bring in a natural shooter for Oak, and I think they make a push. I think that'll guarantee them a playoff spot.
So I know we talked about this a couple of days ago, you and I got to give credit where credit's due. I heard this on Bill Simmons' podcast the other day. He proposed the trade, Jahlil Okafor and Ersan Ilyasova for Carmelo straight up. Do you make that trade?
Yes, I would make that trade. I think Melo will deny it with his no trade clause. But if I'm the GM, I'm taking the trade, because then you have another big to spread the floor when KP comes off the floor, and then you have a center. You could with Oak. I mean, he puts up good numbers. I know we like to bash him and everything, but he does. He puts up good numbers. He's a productive big man. He doesn't play much defense, but KP is a great rim protector.
Yeah. They got the rim protector in Porzingis, man. He can get up there and smash the ball like the best of them. So
Yeah,
I think
and
a
I
guy
think-
like Okafor could really complement that.
Yeah, and I think with Melo going to the 76ers, it brings in that veteran experience. He has the playoff experience. He hasn't been far in the playoffs in the East, but when he was in the West, he made it to the conference finals. He has experience, and he goes toe-to-toe with LeBron very well. He could play the 4, and with Simmons being the primary ball handler, and then a good natural big down there crashing the boards when he throws it up. It just seems like a good fit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could start the game. You got Simmons at the point. You got Melo at the 3. You've got Nerlens Noel at the 4, and Embiid at the 5. I mean, I think that's a pretty, whoever you want to throw in at shooting guard, I think that's a pretty well-rounded, nice lineup.
Yeah, you got the 2 7-foot bigs, and you got a defensive one who protects the rim with the best of them, and arguably second best offensive big in the league.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd put him right up there with in terms of offensive skill with Boogie.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So, with that said, let's go ahead and transition to who has really let us down so far in the East this year.
Chicago.
I know yours hits close to home. Yeah.
Yeah, favorite team, but man, that lack of coaching is killing them. Hoiberg I don't think he understands what the NBA is. He just seems lost out there with his rotations, with his timeout calling, everything. He has no control over the team. Just makes no sense to me. He can never stick with one lineup. I don't even know how many times I've seen a different starting 5 out there. I don't understand how he wants the team to get comfortable if you never let them play together.
Yeah, it kind of seems like another classic example of the college coach who just can't make the transition to the league.
Yeah, get rid of him over the All-Star break. Bring in Mark Jackson or Van Gundy. That's what I want to see. They have so much talent.
I mean,
I don't think it's the talent on the team. I know Rondo is a head case, but Butler and Wade seem to not mind that much. I mean, to the media at least. I know they came out and said something, but even after Rondo spoke out, they didn't. They came to the media and that was it. It was done. Whether what happened in the locker room, who knows? But I mean, they went out there and they looked good tonight against the 76ers. Put up a W, which has been rare of late.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. Make a move on the coach. Somebody like Mark Jackson, maybe he can kind of get Rondo's head in the game, get him focused.
He seems to play so well with the second unit. I like MCW starting and Rondo coming off the bench with the second unit. Because we have the shooters on the second unit with Nikola, and then you have Grant or
Dougie
Cannon.
Buckets.
Yeah, Dougie Buckets. So the paint isn't congested. You have the defenders spread around the floor. And Rondo's good. He gets to the basket well and he finishes well around the basket. I'd like him more with the second unit than with the first. With Rondo's, like I said, he just gets to the basket well. And Wade and Butler do too. So the paint is just so congested with our starting 5.
Yeah, that's a great point. Honestly, it is really because, Rondo's strengths are obviously distributing the ball. I mean, when his head's in the game and he's on it, he's one of the best passers in the league, and he's got a weak outside shot. So you pair him up with guys like Mirotic, like Kanan, like you said, Dougie McBuckets. I mean, they can get the job done while he draws the defense inside. They collapse on him, kick out, easy shots.
Yep.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I'm saying.
So,
poor coaching.
Yeah, that's Hoiberg seems like a nice guy, but he's like I said, another example of the guy who who just doesn't seem to get the league. For me in the East, it's got to be the Pacers. I know they're sitting in the playoff hunt right now. I think they're 6th in the East. But when you make a change to add on a guy like Jeff Teague, all-star point guard, played on some really good Hawks teams. Thad Young, nice complementary piece, good rebounder, efficient player, and a guy like Al Jefferson to kind of come off the bench and give you some heat there. For them to be sitting at 6th, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it doesn't. I definitely expected them to be a lot higher in the East, especially with Paul George being finally healthy now. He's for healthy. A while.
Yeah.
And they brought in Al Jefferson coming off the bench. You got a good scoring big coming off the bench. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's just it's mind-boggling to me. Like you said, PG's finally healthy. They added these nice pieces. You got a guy like Monte Ellis who can score the ball in bunches. You got that main go-to guy and Paul George. I don't know. It's one of those things. I mean, the fans are booing him at home. Paul George is coming out talking garbage to the fans. It's just an ugly situation right now in Indiana.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Maybe it's just too many names on the roster. There's been teams like the Knicks. The Knicks a couple years ago had too many names on the roster, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, you get too many names, not enough unselfish players. That's what you can run into.
Yeah, everybody's trying to shine with those small contracts that everybody signed before the cap room got huge. They're trying to get paid.
Trying to get paid, yes, sir. The classic contract year over effort.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I think we got some nice work there on the NBA. Let's transition to the biggest sporting event of the year, the Super Bowl, coming up next weekend here. We've got the Atlanta Falcons, champions from the NFC, facing off against who else but the New England Patriots, your conference champions from the AFC. So what are your thoughts, Mike?
Man, it's a toss-up. You got two great offenses going head-to-head. Brady, obviously, my favorite quarterback all time, best quarterback, I think, ever to do it. I think he locks it up. I think this ring means so much to him that he locks it up. I don't think there's any way he goes out there and loses it, especially with New England not having the talent with wide receivers. I mean, they have Gronk, they have Bennett, but Gronk's so injury-prone. I mean, he makes his wide receivers stars, but you have to wonder how much longer can he do that at an elite level. So I think he puts it all on the table, and I mean, you have to go toe-to-toe with them. I mean, and he has the superior defense compared to the Falcons, who arguably are one of the worst in the NFL. So, him and Belichick are going to pick that defense apart. So it's going to be...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say with Brady, ever since he came back from the 4-game suspension for that nonsense, whatever, deflated footballs, not deflated footballs, whatever. It's a bunch of garbage. But he's basically been perfect since he came back. Those last 12 games in the regular season, he only had, 4 picks?
28-2 this year.
28-2, that's what it was. I knew it was something outrageous. So that's a 14-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Yeah. That's unheard of. The dude is just doing it. And like you said, the Patriots have a good defense, probably their best defense since those monster teams in 03 and 04 that had, Brewski and Willie McGinnis, Rodney Harrison, those guys. This defense is doing big things. Not really a lot of big-name guys, but they just seem to rise to the moment and do what they need to do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Malcolm Butler called out Julio.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And he's gonna get the world to see on the biggest stage.
Yeah, so he's got to, hopefully, for his sake, yeah, he can write the check that his mouth cashed.
Yeah.
For me, I agree with a lot of what you said. I just think, Matt Ryan this season has been playing absolutely out of his mind. The dude has been just on fire, making the right choices when he needs to. In 18 games this season, the Falcons have scored 30 points 13 of those times. They've got a prolific offense. You mentioned one of the, what would you say, best 3 receivers in the game in Julio Jones.
I think he's the best in the league. Footwork is uncomparable to anybody. I think he has the best footwork of a wide receiver I've ever seen. I used to think it was Chad Ochocinco, but Julio showed me something else, and crazy.
That touchdown he had against Green Bay last week, man, he was abusing defenders all the way down the field.
Yeah, he was catching at will. Green Bay's secondary is weak, but they had no answer for Julio last week. It was embarrassing.
And then, they've got a great second option in Mohamed Sanu, who's, he's not a main guy, but he's good enough to kind of take a little bit of heat off of Julio. And they got that nice little speedy slot receiver, Taylor Gabriel. He used to play for my Cleveland Browns. Real talented guy, speedy, good possession receiver. And they got a couple of good backs, too, who kind of complement each other. Freeman's one of the better running backs in the league as well. For me,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. They're gonna have to pick their poison. New England's gonna have to either try to shut down Julio or they're gonna have to try to shut down the run. Because if they let Freeman run at will and Julio do whatever he wants, there's no stopping that offense.
yeah, definitely. I just think one of the big things for me with Atlanta, and I know you said their defense, and I'll be the first to agree with you. Their defense is not stellar. It's I think overall team defense they're ranked like 27th, 28th in the league. But they've got a guy in Vic Beasley who can really get off the passer. Get off the line and get to the passer quick. What's the key to beat Brady?
That's the key. You got to get him out of the pocket. He's not mobile. He's old.
Yeah, you get him
he's
out of
slow.
the pocket. Yeah, you get him moving. His accuracy drops way down. So I think if Vic Beasley can have that impact like he's been having all year, getting in there, causing havoc. They got the other D-line. They got Dwight Freeney, the old Colts pass rusher, who's kind of found a little bit of a resurgence this year with them. If they can get after Tom, flush him out, I think they got a chance.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the best offense versus the best defense. New England was ranked 8th in the defensive rankings, but they allowed the least points per game in the NFL with, I think it was 15.5 points per game. So, I mean, you got the highest scoring offense against the defense who lets up the least amount of points. It's going to be one of the better Super Bowls of late, I think.
I think so. I'm calling a shootout. I think it's going to be relatively high scoring. If I'm making my pick, I'm going, I just think the Falcons have too many weapons. I'm going Falcons 41, Pats 34. What do you like?
I'm liking New England. I'm guessing 35-31 New England.
Either way, it sounds like I think me and you are on the same page. It's going to be a classic.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, well, so that just about wraps it up for this week. Always remember you can find us on Facebook at All Things NBA, All Things NFL, and All Things MLB. All 3 different pages there, so check those out. Give us a like. Stay active, comment on our posts. Go ahead and post your own ideas. Let's get some discussion started there. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow there. We're at THA_Playmakers. We're just starting to get those things going, so hopefully we can get a nice following with those things, get everybody involved, get some nice conversation going there. Anybody you want to shout out, Mike? Anything you want to add in there?
Just Ed, Chris, Britt, putting the page together and letting everybody, express their thoughts and everything on the sport that they love. It's been great.
Yeah, big shout out to the admins, like you said, Ed McFadden, Chris Charles, Brittany B, the queen commenter. Her posts always seem to generate just so many comments. But yeah, I agree. Big thanks to them for getting these pages going and giving us the opportunity to sit here and do what we love, and that's talk about sports. And yeah, shout out to the other mods too. Guys like Carlos, Troy, Cole, Shad, Zoe, Jermaine. Those guys are in there. They're making sure we're not letting in the wrong people. They're flagging posts. So, shout out to all those guys who help us do what we do and keep things great. Fantastic. Well, that has been the first edition of the Playmakers podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. And just remember, ball don't lie.